Have you ever told someone you'd be there soon, only to realize your idea of soon and their idea of soon were, well, worlds apart? It turns out this isn't just you being bad at estimating time. It's actually a fundamental feature of how our language works. So let's pull back the curtain on how our brains handle this wonderfully messy concept. I mean, let's just ask the question straight up. What does soon really mean? When you hear that word, what pops into your head? Is it 5 minutes? Is it an hour? Tomorrow? The truth is, the word itself doesn't actually give you a precise answer. And this just perfectly illustrates the problem, right? I'll be there soon could mean anything from 5 minutes from now, if you're waiting for coffee, to maybe later this week if you're waiting on a project update. It can stretch and shrink. It's just incredibly ambiguous. And this is where our language about time gets so slippery. Okay, so to understand why this happens, we need to talk about a core idea in linguistics called vagueness. And let me tell you, this isn't a flaw in our language. It's actually one of its most powerful features. The specific term for what we're talking about is temporal vagueness. Think about it like this. There's no exact day and time when a person crosses a line from being young to old, right? It's a fuzzy boundary. Well, it's the exact same thing for soon. These words just operate in a gray area, without any sharp edges. To make this crystal clear, just think about the word tall. Saying, he is tall, is vague. I mean, tall compared to what? But saying, he is 6'5", well, that's precise. One's a fuzzy category, the other is a hard number. And here is the absolute key. When we talk about time in our everyday lives, we are almost always using these vague, tall-like words, not precise 6'5" measurements. We rely on these fuzzy categories to get things done. So this leads to a really interesting question. If our language is so fuzzy, how on earth can we analyze it logically? I mean, it seems like a total paradox, but it turns out there's a super clever way to handle it. It's called fuzzy logic, and it's brilliant. Instead of forcing every statement to be either 100% true or 100% false, fuzzy logic lets things be partially true. It's a system built from the ground up to deal with all the in-between stuff we say all the time. So, is the statement "will arrive soon" true if we get there in 30 minutes? In a simple yes-no world, who knows? But with fuzzy logic, we can just say it's, maybe 70% true. It gives us a mathematical way to work with vagueness. But believe it or not, that's only half the story. Vagueness alone doesn't explain everything. To get the full picture, we have to look at the second massive piece of the puzzle: context. This is the hidden variable that gives these fuzzy words their actual real-world meaning. Let's look at another example. Super simple sentence, she always goes to the gym. The key word we're zeroing in on here is always. What do we think that means? I mean, if we take it literally, always would mean she's at the gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is, impossible. So our brain instantly knows the literal meaning can't be right, and it starts looking for another explanation. And this is where our minds just automatically fill in the blanks. We use all this unstated shared context to narrow down what always could possibly mean. We just assume it doesn't mean every single second of her life, but that it applies to a specific set of times, like, maybe it means on weekdays or whenever she's not traveling for work. So the formal name for these kinds of words is temporal quantifiers, and they're super powerful, but they're basically useless without context. Context is the thing that draws a little circle around the events that always or sometimes actually applies to. So we've got these two big forces at play, vagueness and our reliance on context. So how do experts actually analyze all this? Well, they've got this kind of toolkit with a couple of really important lenses they use to look at the problem. This toolkit basically gives us two ways to think about meaning. The first looks at how our words literally change the conversation as it's happening. The second zooms in on what specific slice of the real world those words are actually pointing to. So, lens number 1 is dynamic semantics. This theory basically says that the meaning of a sentence is its power to change the conversation. So when you say, "I'll be there soon," you've just updated our shared understanding. The context of our conversation has literally changed because of what you just said. The second lens, situation semantics, is all about grounding language in reality. It says a word like soon points to a specific future event, the situation of your arrival, So its meaning comes from connecting our situation right now, me waiting for you, to that future one you're talking about.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It might seem like all this ambiguity and fuzziness is a problem, right? But the truth is, it's actually what makes our communication so incredibly efficient.
I absolutely love this idea. Vagueness and context aren't bugs we need to fix, they're features. We don't have to spell out every single tiny detail because we are absolute masters at using shared context to fill in the blanks. It's a shortcut that makes our conversations fast and fluid. All right, so let's just recap the biggest points. First, words about time are naturally fuzzy. They just are. Second, we are constantly, and without even thinking about it, using context to make those words precise enough to get by. And finally, that flexibility, that's the secret sauce. That's what makes human communication work so well. And all of this leaves us with one final and, I think, fascinating question for the future. We've just seen how much of our meaning isn't even in the words we say, it's built on a shared understanding of the world. So how can we ever hope to build an AI that can truly grasp the simple yet profoundly complex meaning of a word like soon?